Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. Thanks for joining us. We have a big show for you today. First, the Alec Baldwin trial is underway. Then we have a story about a mistrial that actually resulted in a dismissal for the defendant. The police union is doing what unions do. In this particular case, it's protecting potentially bad cops in the Karen Reed case. I want a Gilgo Beach shirt, okay? If anyone get it to me, I will reimburse you. Shipping and handling, you name it. The Chris Watts house is finally sold, and a few stories about society and why we may never come back if we don't change our thinking. We have a classic theft scenario. Gee, I wonder why this works so well. And then our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it.
All right, lawyer.
Good day, everyone. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for joining us. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't, like if you do, leave me a comment, hit that little bell for notifications, and yes, you can listen to us anytime on any of your favorite podcasting apps. I want to thank everybody that joined us last night for our live show, our Tuesday night live, as well as our Patreon show. Always appreciate the Patreon family members taking part and taking time out of their day to join us. It does not go unnoticed, and it is greatly appreciated. All right, let's go ahead and get to the docket on July 10th, 2024. First, opening statements by the prosecutors in the Alec Baldwin case began by them laying out their arguments that Alec Baldwin was reckless while working on the movie set of Rust. Now, the prosecutors told the jury that Baldwin routinely failed to do safety checks with the on-set armor, and the prosecutor also noted that Mr. Baldwin was filmed during his required gun safety training, running around shooting his gun. Now, the defense attorney, a guy by the name of Mr. Alex Spiro, one of Mr. Baldwin's many attorneys, insisted there was no evidence that Baldwin had anything to do with putting the bullet into the gun that ultimately killed cinematographer Helena Hutchins. Now, Mr. Spiro said no one on that set knew that the gun had a live bullet in it, and the cast and crew were assured multiple times that Mr. Baldwin's gun was cold. Now, Baldwin is charged with involuntary manslaughter over his role in that deadly shooting that took place on October 21st, 2021. Obviously, we give him the presumption of innocence, but if he is convicted, he could face up to 18 months in prison, which coincidentally, that's what his co-defendant got when she was convicted and sentenced. That's right, that was the armorer. Now, the prosecutors have to call their first witness, so they have to set the stage. Who do they call first? The first responders. So the prosecutors called their first witness to the stand is Santa Fe police officer Nicholas LaFleur. Now, Officer LaFleur was, at the time of the shooting, working for the sheriff's department when the Rust shooting took place, and he was one of the first law enforcement officers on the scene after the 911 call came in. Now, Officer LaFleur testified that he had concerns about witnesses speaking to each other following the shooting, potentially tainting their statements about the events that actually took place. Pretty standard police procedure. Separate everybody, tell everybody, don't talk to one another. A little more difficult when you're out on an open field, shoot, so to speak, and everyone is commingling back together again. Well, the police officer then instructed Mr. Baldwin to stop talking and stood next to Mr. Baldwin while he was being detained. Now, body cam video from Officer LaFleur's body cam showed Mr. Baldwin speaking with other witnesses. And the prosecutor asked the officer, is this your ideal way of separating someone from witnesses? And he said, Officer LaFleur responded, well, after looking at it, probably not. Hey, that's what happened. It's a crime scene. It's never perfect, right? Anyway, LaFleur began setting up the crime scene perimeter and instructed crew members to stand aside. This is all on body cam footage, and he stood with Baldwin and instructed Mr. Baldwin not to speak to others. Now, the prosecutors pointed out that despite LaFleur's instructions, Mr. Baldwin continued to speak about the incident. Now, the video also shows Baldwin sitting and smoking a cigarette as he answers LaFleur's questions and asked about the location of the two victims. Now, Mr. Spiro, the defense attorney, began cross-examining Mr. LaFleur, and the officer admitted, hey, you know what? Looking back, I made mistakes, but this you kind of had to be there. And the defense attorney asked Officer LaFleur about his candid admissions of mistakes, and the officer agreed, saying, we could always do better, basically. And Mr. Baldwin's defense attorneys ended the cross-examination questioning LaFleur if it was truly fair to say that the actor defied orders not to speak. The officer told the defense attorney and the jury on the answer to the question that while he did tell Baldwin not to speak with witnesses, he did not repeatedly give the same order over and over again. He said he wasn't really disobeying police orders, was he, sir? And Officer LaFleur said, well, to an extent, yes. So the case will continue. They're on break again for the afternoon as the time that I am doing this show. But we'll bring you all the updates tomorrow. Remember, you can watch gavel-to-gavel coverage right here on all of the Crime Talk Network channels, which include YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Roku, and Rumble. Got them all. Watch them all. All right? But watch it here. Watch it here on YouTube. All right? Just saying. Anyway. Oh, don't forget Twitter. Did I forget to say Twitter? I think I forget to say Twitter. Right? The Crime Talk Network. We keep growing and growing. And all I need now is just to be able to do this 24/7, ladies and gentlemen. I think we can do it with your help. Like, subscribe, tell a friend. All right. Next, a mistrial that ultimately resulted in a dismissal of the case. Do you remember the case of George Kelly? That's right. The Arizona farmer that was accused of killing a migrant coming across the border and on his property. The jury was hung. Well, the judge has dismissed the murder and assault charges against the rancher with prejudice, meaning that the state cannot bring the charges up again in the future. Now, a mistrial did take place back in April. We brought you the entire trial where the jurors were unable to reach a unanimous verdict after deliberating for more than 2 days. Now, the mistrial would have allowed prosecutors to retry the case, but now the judge has taken that option off the table. Mr. Kelly had claimed that he was protecting himself and his wife and his home when he opened fire on a group of migrants on his property on January 30th of 2023. Prosecutors accused Mr. Kelly of ambushing the victim, Gabriel Swen Butemea, and said that he had a propensity for violence towards the victim's race, ethnicity, national origin, and or immigration status. At a status hearing on April 29th, the prosecutors told the judge that they did not plan to retry the case, but they wanted the charges dismissed without prejudice, which means they could bring it again. Now, in all reality, unless there's a statutory basis, it's really a civil term that's crept its way into the criminal world. When you dismiss with prejudice, you mean it's gone. In the civil case, you're never going to be able to bring it back. Without prejudice means you can. But in the civil world, the prosecutors can dismiss, like they did in the Alec Baldwin case, and then refile as long as it's within the statute of limitations. So I know a little bit of nuance, a little bit of legal dork kind of stuff, but the reality of it is that's what's really happening here. Anyway, so Arizona says that they wanted to keep this open because there's this statute that says that, hey, we may want to be able to bring this charges again because these factors that the prosecutor can ask for the without prejudice portion is that the defendant makes statements in the media, like basically confesses to it, right? Maybe there's an unknown witness that comes forward, or the political situation may change that the charges may have a different attitude towards the jurors, so to speak, or the jurors have a different attitude towards the charges. And a rule change that took away peremptory challenges may change would be in the state's benefit. The judge said, yeah, no, none of this is going to happen. The without prejudice argument is completely illusory, and therefore it is denied, case dismissed. He cannot be charged ever again on those particular charges. So congratulations, Mr. Kelly. Next, police unions doing what police unions do, protecting bad cops, alleged bad cops, I might say. So the union representing the Massachusetts State Police lead investigator in the Karen Reed case, that's right, Michael Proctor, well, he was relieved from duty just hours after Karen Reed's murder trial ended in a mistrial. And the union has called that move of suspending Mr. Proctor disappointing. I don't know. I was disappointed in Trooper Proctor's handling of the investigation. I was disappointed in his text messages. So I get the union's disappointment. Because as you may recall, during the trial, Trooper Michael Proctor was questioned about those messages he shared with a group of friends. And after reading one of those messages in which he called Reed a whack job and some other expletive, but it rhymed with punt, he apologized to the jury for his unprofessional comments. Now, Proctor described these messages as very regrettable. I could say regrettable. Could cost you your job regrettable. That's disappointing, isn't it? Anyway, within hours of the mistrial, Proctor was relieved from the duty and transferred out of the detective unit of the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office on July 7th. A state police duty status hearing held Monday determined Proctor should be suspended without pay. Ooh, suddenly now it gets real. Too bad you had to go through this process. And who brought a lot of these things to light? Ooh, that's right. It was the defense. It's not like the prosecution said, hey, I think some wrongdoing's going on. We need to question whether we can go forward with this case. They never do they? Anyway, Colonel Mon, the Massachusetts State Police interim colonel, accepted the recommendation, which took effect immediately. And there's an ongoing internal affairs investigation, and that will also continue. Now, we'll give Mr. Proctor, that's right, the presumption of innocence that he's entitled to, just like all the people that he's investigated over the years. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Crime Talk family, I have a mission for you. Whoever can get me one of these shirts, extra large, it's probably cheap cotton, let's go double extra large. I am 6'3", all right? I want one of these t-shirts. Take a look at this. A Queens pizzeria is raising some eyebrows, what some people are calling tasteless, of a t-shirt of the accused Gilgo Beach serial killer, Rex Heuermann, harping on the fact that he was famously nabbed through DNA on pizza crust. Yes, the shirt has a picture of Heuermann with a statement saying, "Pizza is amazing." The pizza was printed by Pizza on the Point in Breezy Point, and it says, "But make sure you finish the crust. Rex Heuermann, Gilgo Pizza Connoisseur." I love it. I want one. I will pay you whatever it costs to get one, because they're apparently only going to regular customers. So I want one. I will pay for your shipping and handling, and I will pay you a premium of $200 to get me one of these shirts. And of course, I will tell you who got it for me if you want your name used. And I will wear the Rex Heuermann t-shirt. Now, yes, I get it. It's kind of dark, but it's kind of funny in its own separate way. What have I said, ladies and gentlemen? When you work in the kind of area, the crime, the prosecution, defense, true crime area, right? It's dark. And sometimes you have to have a little bit of a sense of humor. Otherwise, you would completely lose your mind. It would make you cry if you couldn't laugh and maybe make an occasional inappropriate, dark joke. It's just the way it is. Like I said, some people are offended, but remember, some people are always offended about everything. And the owner realizes that it's dark, but he also says, yeah, it's still kind of funny. Anyway, the pizzeria is giving away the shirts to regular customers, but may start selling them as they get more popular and in demand. I want one. Anyone that can get me one, I will pay you whatever it costs to get it to me, plus $200. Let's go extra large or double extra large, because if it's cotton, it's going to shrink, and next thing you know, it'll be like an extra size, extra small. So let's go big. All right. Maybe I could join Dave Portnoy for a pizza review at this pizzeria and then try to get a shirt. Maybe I have to fly there, Frank. We could fly there, shoot a video, do a pizza review, and get a shirt at the same time. That would be fabulous, wouldn't it? If I didn't have this trial next week, we would do it. All right, next on the docket. The home of Chris Watts has been sold. After 3 months on the market, the Colorado property, which frankly is just not far from the CrimeTalk studios here in Denver, Colorado. It's just up the road. Probably could get there in about 12 minutes or so. Anyway, the property where Chris Watts murdered his pregnant wife and 2 young daughters has found a buyer. The home shows that the sale is pending since July 3rd. And although the original price was $775,000, it shows you the cost of housing here in the Denver metropolitan area. It only sold for $750,000. Now, this is a 4,100 square foot property, including 5 bedrooms and 4 baths. And obviously, you get the view of the Colorado Rocky Mountains, as well as the notorious, infamous place where Chris Watts killed his wife, Shanann, and where his 2 young children were before he, according to his own testimony, killed them out there at the oil tank battery sites. Now, like I said, this crime scene property is where he strangled his wife, who was, I forgot to mention, that's right. She was also 15 weeks pregnant with another son on the way. And his 2 young daughters, remember Bella, 4, and Celeste, 3? Yeah, he killed them and then shoved them into an oil tank battery. And the little top of the oil tank battery was about this big. So you can imagine how he had to squeeze their little bodies into that hole. Probably one of the cruelest things that I've ever seen in my days. Now, we covered this a lot. It was the Chris Watts case that got us started doing this little podcast. So maybe take a stroll down memory lane. We've got some visits. We tried to go out to the tank battery, but we're stopped by some angry armed people. We have all of the interviews. Yes, the interviews. I even tried to go to the change of name hearing for the alleged mistress, but apparently her attorneys were watching CrimeTalk, and when I showed up, the judge, who I knew, said, we set this off record because we don't want anybody to know anybody's new name. Yeah. Anyway, take a stroll down memory lane. We've got a lot of Chris Watts stuff, and it's probably still one of the most viewed older videos that we have, and it's really the one that started it all. And there was the video. Is this the email that started it all? I don't know. It's got a couple million views on it, I think. That was the one we put out. I went to Mexico and was like, wow, I'm getting all these views, all these subscribers. Hey, there may be something to this YouTube thing. All right. Needless to say, Mr. Chris Watts received a life sentence, multiple life sentence in prison for pleading guilty for the murders that took place back in November of 2018 in an attempt to avoid the death penalty. Of course, whereupon in Colorado, we no longer have the death penalty because the governor and the legislature decided the people did not have a right to vote on it themselves and took matters into their own hands. I would think, just like in the state of California, that if it wasn't on the ballot for the people to decide that they want the death penalty for the worst of the worst, the most heinous of the most heinous crimes committed, that it wouldn't be there. But we didn't even get that opportunity to vote on it here in Colorado. Next in the docket, a couple of stories about what the hell is wrong with people. Is society done? It's got to change, ladies and gentlemen. Is this where society is headed unless we change how we act and we treat each other and respect one another? I mean, this stuff just gets old, and it just seems like it's more and more common. And I've seen a lot of this stuff, but it seems like it's just more and more. So anyway, police have arrested and now charged 2 women, Tiffany Taylor Gray and Audrey Miller, for the murder of a guy by the name of Fasil Teklemariam. He was a man that lived in Washington, D.C., who was hit over the head, stabbed, and then had his thumb cut off. And the thumb was allegedly used by his killers to access his accounts and then spend his money on Uber rideshares, marijuana, and alcohol. So prosecutors allege that Mr. Teklemariam was killed on April 1st, though his body was not found until April 5. Now, a police affidavit notes that his family tried calling him for several days, and when they couldn't reach him, they contacted the police for a welfare check. Now, when the police arrived, they found Mr. Teklemariam, and he had been hit on the head and stabbed multiple times, and his right thumb was also gone, and his thumb was never found. Now, the arrest affidavit also outlines that the authorities identified 5 suspects, including Gray and Miller. The other three suspects are black males, and only one has been positively identified to the police. He's apparently a 34-year-old man who Gray has allegedly described to others as her play brother. Now, typically, the term is used to describe someone who is not biologically related to, but is very familiar with the person. Now, no charges have been filed against the other suspects as of this time, so just the 2 ladies. But they kill somebody to chop off their thumb so they can use the thumbprint to access apps and phones. Are you kidding me? What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It just shows you the complete devaluation and respect for human life that exists in the world today, that someone would kill somebody literally for their thumb and a few bucks to go partying. Let me give you another example. Police in Texas are searching for 2 individuals they say are suspected for fatally shooting a manager of a Sonic fast food restaurant following an argument over an order. The 2 people are suspected of killing 33-year-old Daniel Shrewsbury. And then we have another incident in Tennessee where a drive-through customer shot and killed a church's chicken employee after an argument Monday night. And there, the Memphis police said that the shooting happened about 9 p.m. They found the wounded employee at the hospital, but the employee later died. Senseless killings, ladies and gentlemen. Senseless. It's not going to stop until people say we've had enough and people think they're actually going to get punished. I mean that. Okay? Trust me. I'm a criminal defense lawyer. I would not mislead you. I would give you advice like I was giving it to my own children. And unless people have consequences for their actions, they're going to continue to do what they always do. If there's no consequences, it will be chaos. Next, a classic theft scheme. Springfield Police Department in Oregon is stating that a 3-month investigation has uncovered evidence of a guy by the name of Amon Hendrickson, the owner of Brick Builders, which is a toy store in Eugene, Oregon, was knowingly purchasing new unopened Lego sets that had been stolen from local retail stores. Now, a raid of the Brick Builders recovered more than $200,000 worth of stolen toys. In total, police say that there were at least 4,000 stolen Lego sets that were found in the store, and it is alleged that thieves were selling the Lego sets to the store owner for a fraction of the retail value, and obviously using the money for their college education. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No. Did I misread that? No. They would use the money for illegal drugs. Anyway, the police department say they partnered with the loss prevention investigators from Target, Walmart, Barnes & Nobles, and Fred Meyer to confirm the Lego thefts. Now, I'm telling you, you want to talk about a police force where they can track anything? Target, Walmart, Home Depot. Man, they can trace anything. Their security systems are so good, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, and not that I'm telling you to steal things, because I'm not. I'm telling you don't do it, because you're going to get caught, because their stuff is so good. And finally today, ladies and gentlemen, our dumb criminal of the day. Please meet Dennis Wynn. Now, he faces charges of shooting or throwing a deadly missile into dwellings, vessels, or vehicles. And that criminal mischief could cost him at least $1,000. He's also charged with discharge of a firearm in public in a residential area, to be exact. Walmart had announced it was rolling out drone deliveries in Florida via Drone Up. Now, according to the arrest affidavit, the 2 Drone Up crew members were at a delivery point in the overlook at the Lake Louisa neighborhood when the alleged shooting occurred. The crew was there campaigning for Drone Up, which in this case was to include a proof of concept mock delivery to the location. The drone was about 230 feet in the air when it arrived, descended down to about 75 feet, when one of the crew members heard what they thought was a gunshot. Both the crew and the drone raced back to the Walmart where deputies responded. They ultimately went back to the area where the shooting took place, and they talked to the neighbors. They made contact with anyone asking if anyone was aware of the incident with the drone. Mr. Wynn allegedly had used his 9mm handgun to shoot a drone that flew over his house as he was working on his pool pump, recounting past experiences with drones that he thought were surveilling him. Now, while waiting for transportation back to the police station, Mr. Wynn allegedly yelled out to a neighbor that he was going to jail for shooting a drone. Now, the shooting of the drone did cause damage of some $2,500, and the crew noted business operations would be impacted due to the aircraft being rendered inoperable. Anyway, Mr. Wynn was arrested, booked into jail, and bonded out after posting a $13,500 bond. I've seen lower bonds on people that shoot people, that steal and beat people up. Are you kidding me? My God, whoever set that bond, you could be the dumb magistrate of the day. But Mr. Wynn, you are a dumb criminal of the day. Congratulations, you made it. Hey, if you can get me a shirt, though, without shooting somebody, I'll pay you $200 over. All right, that's all we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you next time, and remember, the Constitution matters.